Hi Rahul, thank you for joining me. I know you keep a very busy schedule and you've managed to take out time for this podcast. So I am grateful. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Deepak ji. Pleasure is all mine. Anytime we have to, reach out to our target audience, about what is happening, what can be done together. You've been very helpful in doing that part, and that's why you always have to take time out for this podcast for sure.
But I'm sure the way you are traveling all over the country, you would have broken many loyalty programs.
I wish the old days of loyalty programs were there. Nowadays, there is no loyalty program as such.
They'll have to dedicate an aircraft for you.
Well, that would be too much to ask right away. Hopefully, if we are able to dedicate, academies in every region, that would be more than enough for now. We can utilize that from here.
Recently, you've achieved a major milestone by setting up the Center for Excellence at Hyderabad. So, what's so much of a big deal about this? What is this Center of Excellence all about?
All right. Okay. Let me take you through the background story of how the Center of Excellence thing started. When I had taken over at that point in time, the first thing that I did was to understand who are our training partners. And what we realized at that point in time was that most of them were not from the industry background, and they were there for those, the government-funded programs only that were coming in. And
excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Who are the training partners? Whom are you referring to here?
Whoever were enrolled at that point in time in the ecosystem, with FFSC for that matter.
That means people who are providing training.
Yes, training providers.
As a business.
Yes, training as a business, basically. Primarily run by people who are not from our industry background, at least for our sector. And when that's the case, given the nature of our industry, it becomes very difficult for somebody to, have the right quality standards, right training programs, and right infrastructure for that matter, and how to use it also. All the more right now also there is a shortage of skilled workforce. Then to run those centers also you need the right kind of skilled workforce. So what we started working on was we kind of gauged the interest of a lot of parties, who were interested in opening the training centers from our industry. Maybe it can be a manufacturer, it can be a supply side person, etc., etc. And we got a very good positive response from all of those guys.
This is the woodworking industry in particular.
Yes, woodworking industry that I'm talking about.
That would include all your furniture.
Would include your furniture manufacturers. This would include your furniture machine suppliers. This would include your raw material suppliers, etc., etc. So when we had a word with them, gauged the market, we got a lot of interest. I still have my diaries. Wherein we would have just in the initial phase about 20-25 people. Within a span of just 10-15 days, telling us that we want to open an academy or we want to open a skill center. We will open it. We have the space. You take the space. But what was challenging there was that how would you run it? Because none of the guys had an idea of how to run a training center properly. And they said, "Wo aapko karna padega." You have to manage that aspect of it. So then we said, okay, what's in the ecosystem apart from this or that situation that we have? Do we have something that is already existing that can be utilized? And then we started evaluating the ITI infrastructure. Now, apparently, if you'll say, while ITI and FFSC are all part of the skill ecosystem, they're also like a competing body in one sense. Because both create their own training programs and they have their training centers and all of that part. So, coming as an outsider to this segment, I felt that why are we not utilizing these resources that are already available to us? So we reached out to ITIs and we told them that our industry partners are interested. We would be more than interested to kind of work out an arrangement wherein we can take over these centers which are not working or which are not as per the latest standards that we need, and we would revamp it. But little did I know at that point in time that ITIs have a state-driven mechanism, so it's not centrally governed and or like not centrally managed, and the body that they all report to is the DGT, Director General of Training. So with them, we pitched. Then I still remember the name of the proposal. It was called Better Together Proposal. And the idea was that how all of us can work together. We bring in the industry partners, we bring in the expertise. We can even manage the show till the time the new training program, the job roles, the right skill sets are required. And with this, we pitched to the then Additional Secretary, Shetal Kumar Tiwari sir, who is now the Secretary of MSD. And in long story short, the luck as it had it, it started in 2022, and from there, when the secretary, then Secretary Rajesh Agrawal sir, he started a reimagination of NSTI program, and we looked at it as a very good proposal to kind of give shape to what our thought or idea was to develop the right kind of training centers or model centers. So we went to him, we submitted our proposal, and we visited different NSTIs across the country. Now the idea was
NSTIs are the
under
Skill Training Institutes.
National Skills Training Institute. So as vocational training is set up in India, DGT is one of the strongest bodies and the most renowned of the old body which is available that has been there for vocational education and training. And under DGT, there are two primary bodies. One is National Skills Training Institute, and another is ITIs. Now, NSTIs are basically those places where you can say that the trainers get trained while they run other short-term training programs also, other full-time programs also. But essentially, they train the trainers. And these institutes are spread across the country. There are more than, I guess, 30 in number, and more are opening up. And ITIs are the ones wherein the students or the learners go in directly and they acquire training on a specific program. That is the difference between both the two.
Right.
So we've got a breakthrough with NSTIs. Last year we signed, this year actually we signed 2 MOUs with NSTI Bangalore and NSTI Hyderabad. And with NSTI Hyderabad, I'm happy to say with the power of collaboration, and it's a very unique model that we have created. And that's why it's a milestone event for us. One, MSD, with the support of MSD ministry, that is DGT, NSTI, that is, and industry partners, and a sector skill council like us has come together to create the Center of Excellence. And it's the first of the Center of Excellence that will be managed and run by a sector skill council directly and by FFSC directly. So that's the big part about it. Now, that's only the starting point. It is not the end point. This is the starting point. We are using the Center of Excellence to create a model through which we are able to work in a hub and spoke manner. And this Center of Excellence can help the other beginner academies or the apprenticeship academies around it. So the model is such that through this Center of Excellence, we are able to create customized programs, training of trainers. We are able to create specialized trainings or industry need-based training and other things like that. And also create an infrastructure or a support mechanism that helps the beginner academies, that helps the apprenticeship academy in that particular region. So that is why this makes it even more special.
What's the infrastructure like over here at the Hyderabad, the Center of Excellence?
Sure.
What have you created there physically?
Yeah, essentially, the idea of the Center of Excellence is that it talks about design, build, and management programs. So the whole layout is in a way that it is basically a panel processing factory kind of a layout, wherein you have a planning unit, you have a sizing unit, basically cutting, edge banding, drilling. Then you have the assembly and installation, assembly or pre-check area, packaging and dispatch. And the same space can also be, used in a multi-purpose manner to create a woodwork workshop also. And this is all spread over about 1600 to 1700 square feet area. Now, the idea with this whole setup is that somebody who's walking in as a learner, there are 2 types of learners who can come there. One is a fresher. So if a fresher is walking in, first of all, he gets a perspective about the manufacturing process that is there, the whole value chain that is there. Secondly, if he wants to specialize in the overview of the overall process, he can do that. If he wants to specialize on a particular operation, which is, let's say, a cutting operation or edge banding operation or drilling operation, he can understand that aspect. If he wants to learn about the installation or the assembly part of it, he can do that aspect also. So in that particular format, the child or the learner gets an understanding that what is the possibility in this sector. So that's one part. Then the second type of learner is the existing workforce. Now, existing workforce, a lot of time needs an understanding and development on the perspective of, let's say a 5S or a lean manufacturing or upgrading of their own skill sets. Now, this becomes a very good platform which can be utilized by the industry for training of their existing workforce as well. And I'm glad to share that, in our initial phase itself, we have started the orientation, the skill orientation for the fresh learners who are there. And we target to complete about orientation of about 500 plus, NSTI existing students who are there. We have already completed 150, and we plan to complete some, about 350 plus more, and then we'll go out to ITIs, and orient them as well.
So
And
that's the hub and spoke that you were talking about.
yes. So the idea is when people see this model, they'll understand it. Okay, this is doable, this is possible, this is all I need as an infrastructure, and maybe I can do a smaller version of this in a smaller town or where the industry is, limited in size, or there is no much industry representation there. But in a controlled environment like this kind of a center, how can I train somebody on the basics first, and then from there, those basics the child can get or the learner can get into an apprenticeship academy.
So over here, who are the industry partners at this NSTI Center of Excellence in Hyderabad? The industry partners that you were referring to.
I'm really thankful to the people who came forward to support this kind of an initiative. This is purely based on that we are a big endorser of power of collaboration, and this was possible with the power of collaboration that came from HOMAC, who Mr. Venkat. He right away said that I would like to do this project, and then I would like to provide the machine from my side. So he was one of the biggest, because 70 to 80% of what goes into the center is the machines aspect of it. Then we had a lot of support from the Modular Furniture Manufacturing Association, MFMA team, which is there in Hyderabad. It's a group of 70 to 80 industry people who are there as part of this. And when we have been in touch with them since quite some time now, 4 to 5 years, I guess. And we were in talks that we need to start something like this. And when the time came, they actually came forward and supported this wholeheartedly. Then there is FFSC, Regional Skill Chapter of Hyderabad. So the member of those chapters also supported this thing. And then there was FFSC team. So as we had told earlier also, that we had worked a lot on developing the training capacity in-house, the master trainers in-house. And those master trainers played, stretched themselves to actually set up the whole place from the scratch. And it was a wonderful experience actually, with the power of collaboration that we pulled this through. And now we hope that we are able to churn out successful batches as we have planned, and industry is able to get the right skilled workforce, through this center of excellence.
I think the kind of impact that you're looking at is twofold. One is that it accelerates the process of training of people who want to get into the woodworking profession. And the second,
so woodworking, I would like to just emphasize on the 3 words basically here. I'm talking about interiors, furniture, and allied. And even in furniture, when you say it is woodworking plus it is also panel processing. Both, right. It's a mixture of that. In fact, now it is stretching to metalwork and other things also, because it's a kind of a mixture. So idea is that design, build, and management related jobs that are there, or the job roles that are there, we can train people on all those categories. In fact, we have one programs for that purpose.
Okay, so this is one side of the impact. The other is that you have put forth a model that can be replicated.
Yes.
Easily, or at least faster, because it's easier to visualize once it's successfully proven at one place. Now it's for the industry and other associations to take it to their regions or zones or their cities. Amazing. इसमें काफी आपने पापड़ बेले, and finally the fruits are there for everyone to enjoy.
Yes, and we all need to still work together on this, to scale it up from here onwards, to make this successful. Because this is just one center, and we have to at least grow to 50 such, or at least one per region, or the regional skill chapters that we have identified over the period of coming years, because the demand is increasing as we speak. So we can't stop at one. This ideally has to be the model for hub and spoke, and we need to grow from here.
Well, the demand is actually coming from the growth in housing across the country.
Yes.
As more and more houses get built, and more infrastructure or even commercial and office spaces get built. Where are the people who are going to make them come from? The trained people, the carpenters or the metal workers or furniture makers, the interior designers.
Yes.
So you are actually building that pipeline and making sure that it remains full all the time.
Yes, I mean that's the whole idea, because we need more centers like these, and like I said, in different regions. So to say, the overall model that we developed, and we conceptualized under the regional skill chapter, is all about that. That we are trying to bring. We have identified 50 such regions. The bigger districts have been identified as the regional skill chapter, and that's how they've been named. So let's say Bangalore regional skill chapter, or a Hyderabad regional skill chapter, like that. And the smaller districts around it, or smaller towns around it, basically are part of that in a hub and spoke basis. So Bangalore becomes a hub, and the rest of the districts are kind of a spoke there. And wherever you see there is a potential of there's a demand in these regions, so that demand is being aggregated at one point. There is potential of training or aspiration amongst the youth there, but they're unaware about that. So we need to create these kind of centers across those places. And with the regional skill chapter model, that is what we are aiming for.
So how many regional skill chapters do you have operational as of now?
So during our foundation day, based on our overall data analysis, we had identified about 50 plus regional skill chapters. However, we wanted to create successful stories first, and we wanted to start with some of the the low hanging fruits, or the better ones, wherein the demand was high. There was analysis that was done. Whether the industry was there or not, the existing infrastructure support that we had, or the skilling partner support that we had, or we could develop there in those formats. So basis that, we had identified about 8 such chapters that we would focus on this year. And I'm happy to say that as of 1st of December, we had already started our first meetings in all these chapters, and the way these chapters are formed are that the industry partners in those regions are part of these chapters, and they are the ones who are driving our main agenda, or the key points that we have, whether it is to bring more industry people, whether it is demand aggregation, whether it is setting up the new training centers, whether it is learner orientation or awareness building, or any other things for that matter. So it is not just about starting a center, it is also about building a sustainable ecosystem that we are focusing on with these regional skill chapters. And the Center of Excellence or the skill academies happen to be part of that overall big picture that we're trying to create.
Oh.
So yeah, so 8 such chapters this year, but we are also looking at sensitizing the other chapters through our activities like industry meets that we are conducting, and we have planned for almost about 20 such meets till this year, till this financial year ends, under our the campaign of One Nation, One Industry. So that's what we are working towards.
Well, I am fortunate to be part of the NCR, Delhi NCR regional skill chapter. And we've had our first meeting already, and we're looking forward to the next one. So let's hope we can also create some milestones over here.
Definitely. In fact, the success in Hyderabad of creating this has also actually given us confidence that we would like to open such centers and have our teams positioned there. Delhi NCR is one place that I'm definitely having top of our mind, because we would like to move from just a office space to a training office space, wherein our trainers can actually build capacity throughout the month, throughout the year, and create an example.
One of your agenda points has been the skill gap study.
Yes.
Though I understand the meaning of it a bit superficially, though, could you explain in more detail what this is all about, and what do you aim to achieve here?
See, very simplistically put, if you're creating a supply without demand, understanding the demand, you might hit or you might miss the target. And over the years, basically the approach of ministry also has been on a supply increasing to a demand-driven approach of skill development. And that's what we have also adapted for. So until you understand the market, you understand the region, you understand the demand, what kind of workforce would you create? Because there are a lot of challenges in terms of people understanding even what kind of workforce they do they need. A lot of time people are actually needing an installer, and they're asking for carpenters, or they need a furniture CAD, like a furniture engineer who can actually work on IMOS, or who can work on Python, etc. And they're saying that, okay, they need furniture designers. While designing and engineering is different ballgame altogether. So understanding that gap properly and understanding the demand properly is what we are aiming at with this skill gap study. So through the skill gap study, we aim to have a more demand-driven approach. We want to identify what is the existing workforce who's there, so that we can plan upskilling projects accordingly. We can also certify them. Understand what is the fresh requirement, so we can plan apprenticeship linked programs accordingly. Understand what is the job requirement overall. The companies, the job requirement that they have, so that we can sensitize the other segments, or the other working groups who are there to apply for those jobs, or to consider those jobs, or to consider those career options also. And in this whole scenario, instead of just being a study, this will kind of create a system that we are able to get this demand year on year, or probably a periodic time frame, and we are able to plan our activities and our initiatives in a better way year on year. So that's what the whole idea is, and I'm happy to share just the initial bits of. I would tell you, that we started this study very recently, just the last month, post Diwali, and so far almost 60 companies have participated in it. We've got about 2,500 plus demand of people who want their employees to be certified. About 100 plus people have shown interest in apprenticeship. 9 people have already signed up for apprenticeship academies. We've got over 500 plus job openings which are there. A lot of people, let me put in numbers, in percentage term, about 40% of the people have said that they want to, while they understand that they have an organization chart, but they would want to structure their organization properly in line with the occupation map that the FFSC has developed. Almost everybody wants that female employees be given chance on the shop floors as well. So there are quite a few fine points that we have put in this study, which will actually help us drive better. So now, from whatever I said, you can imagine now, if you have to make a program, you will think, okay, now make good upskilling programs for these people because they need it, or create the right apprenticeship opportunity because these companies can offer apprenticeship, and there is an apprenticeship academy available for giving these learners the right chance, or focus more on female candidates because people are open to the idea of, at least these companies are open to the idea of. So you have an inside-based plan or action, plan for action that you can make. That's the whole idea of the skill gap study. And we're not limiting it to this actually, Deepakji. There's a very interesting thing that we want to do with this thing, and we're working on the pilot for that. They base this skill gap study that we're doing for each company. We are creating a skill development plan for that company. So basis whatever information they have provided, we are putting that in terms of what can be the skill development plan for this particular company. So let's say if their information said that they don't have an organization structure, then in their skill development plan, it will go that you need to create an organization structure. If you have X number of employees, then it goes, you need certification for these employees and you need an upskilling program for these employees. And you can also do a performance review based on these parameters. If they are eligible for apprenticeship, then the skill development plan would say that, okay, you can take so many number of apprenticeship. So it is not just a study, it is also a study for action that can be, projected further. That's the idea behind this whole. So we are working on the pilot. We would definitely like to share more updates as we go forward. And what success or outcomes we get out of this, we'll love to share that.
Very interesting. But how many job roles have been identified for this skill gap study?
Okay, so right now the spectrum that we have chosen, we're not limited it. So the ones that we have defined already as part of our skill development plan, as standards development plan, which is interiors related jobs and furniture related jobs across the value chain from design, build, and manufacturing, design, build, manufacturing, and management. And also we have kept a part open here. Let's say somebody's from a plywood manufacturing unit, somebody's from a laminate manufacturing unit, or somebody's from a pre-processing of wood unit. Even they can mention that if they have any kind of a demand. Because if you look at the overall spectrum of the kind of job roles that go into our industry, they run over 300 or 300 plus job roles are there. And okay, from entry level to a higher level as per the NSQF framework that is there. So mapping those job roles and identifying those job roles is going to be a tedious exercise. The industry is not ready for that. Sometimes they're not even able to relate to what is a particular job role and what is the defined KRA for that. So we have tried to keep it a little simple, that they understand the occupation that they are talking about or they're referring to. We are given examples of the different job roles that are going into those occupations, but that is how we planned the overall study. And in the next phase, we would go a little deeper with these companies who have participated to create the right understanding of the job roles and the organization structure thereby. So that's how we plan.
If your skill gap study goes the way you are planning it, and it is the response is good, and then I think two major achievements could be: one, that you will help manufacturers to organize themselves, at least in terms of human resource. You will double up as their human resource consultant. And secondly, by defining the job roles, I think you'll be able to achieve more gender diversity in all these jobs. Because I'm sure most of these jobs are suitable for women as well.
Indeed, indeed. And it's just a myth that female workers can't be there on the shop floors while they are working in almost all other industries as well. Whether it is an automobile sector, textile sector, whether it is any other manufacturing plant you take, you'll find that there's a growth in the number of female participation that is there. So yes, and answering your first, referring to your first question, yes, we look at our role, in terms of, and we look at this as an opportunity to formalize our industry. The reason being that it is still an MSME-led sector. Most of the organizations are unorganized or not formally structured, and you'll find the entrepreneurs or the owners doing multiple, wearing multiple heads, and we are doing multiple roles at the same time, and you can't be master of all. And that's where you need to have a structure, and you need to go by a dashboard management system, and you need to know your numbers right, you need to know your organization strength right, and skilling in a way, and this structure in a way would help them achieve that goal. And that is, I think so, that is the basic of, even if you want to implement any kind of programs, otherwise you would not be able to appreciate the program that you're implementing for your own people, let alone identify it.
But I believe the proof of the pudding will actually be in when the business of skilling actually takes off as a profitable enterprise. When people start setting up training academies, as you mentioned earlier, when this profession takes off.
That's where I feel that, the model that we have created of beginner academy, apprenticeship academy, and center of excellence is important, and power of collaboration is important. I mean, I'll take example here, and other day I was discussing with even BSA and Woodtech, and along with HOMAC for that matter, that alone HOMAC cannot do it in all the places across the country. They'll probably choose certain locations because it's a cost-intensive training setup. And alone BSA cannot do it. Alone Woodtech cannot do it. Alone Ajay cannot do it. But when all of them come together, it creates a good platform for them. And when they're supported by the industry in those regions, we can achieve those numbers that we're talking about. Because today nobody's will have the bandwidth of putting let's say open 20 centers and putting at least 50 lakh or 1 CR into each center, if you're looking at really good setup and other things like that. But a beginner academy with a 10 lakh rupees or 15 lakh rupees setup is possible. An apprenticeship academy with an existing setup, that is possible. A center of excellence with power of collaboration, that is possible. So these models have been very thoughtfully crafted, that how can we utilize the existing infrastructure that is available, whether it is from the government side, whether it is from the industry side, whether it is from the manufacturer or the supplier side, and work together to solve this problem of skilling, and that too regionally.
If you see what happened in the IT sector,
Ji.
When the legacy institutions like NIIT were set up, that it was the consumers, the students, who actually rushed to these academies to get trained, and they were paying for their own education. They were getting skilled in the field of coding or website development or what have you. So is that kind of a trend visible in woodworking also?
See, I would like to retell that story, what is the narration that you've just given. See, when NIIT opened or APTEC opened and other institutes like these were opening, it was not that there was no demand and they opened it. They were very well aware that the .com is there, the web is there, the internet is there, and all of this requirement is coming, whether it is coming in form of BPO, KPO, or the pure software related work that India was getting at that point in time. And if you look at more closely, you'll find that the TCS, the Infosys, the Wipros, the Satyams of that time were the big endorsers of all these programs. And while the colleges were not able to provide all these programs and they were still trying to meet the numbers that were required by these companies, a lot of other training centers mushroomed because they knew there was a business model there. Now, right now, what happened at that point in time was that industry itself was kind of promoting the whole job opportunity that was available. And that's how the training programs kind of, got encouraged. And that's exactly what is required today. But if you don't have the industry together, in IT, the advantage was that those guys were the big players. There were huge numbers they were talking about. The job roles were aspirational. There was no myth attached with it. There was no caste attached with all those kind of job profiles. Here, we need to create that momentum. We need to create that branding. We need to create that awareness. We need to promote the opportunities that we have as an industry. And that's why One Nation, One Industry. The reason why we started the campaign or we're running it is because we have to come together as various subsectors, as an industry, and promote our industry. Because we have done this, and we've done this as pilots and proof of concepts. It is not that the youth doesn't want to come into our sector. It is just that they are not aware about the opportunity in our sector.
Okay.
Continuing with the same example that you mentioned, IT, that opportunity was largely aware because everybody around was talking about it.
Yes.
Infosys was talking about it. TCS was talking about it. Academia was talking about it. Government was talking about it. So much job opportunities were there. Here, nobody's talking about it in that particular manner. So as an industry, when we come together and we start talking about these things, and we have created a lot of programs and a lot of initiatives in this particular segment, that how we can bridge this gap collectively and promote our industry. And I'm sure then what you said, that is this momentum building up, it will build up and it will catch up.
So if that's the case, then how are we defining our industry so that this profession or this career can be considered aspiration? Are we looking at the woodworking industry in an industry for carpenters, or do we have a better articulation?
See, the industry, the myth has to be, first of all, or the misconception has to be, first of all, challenged and removed, that our industry is not limited to carpenters. Our industry is very big. When we talk about, it starts with anything that is after construction, and it goes up to interiors and furniture and even allied segments. So the opportunities across the spectrum. So when you talk about interiors, you have opportunity to design, to build, to manufacture, to install or to manage interior operations in terms of project management. So you're not limited to carpenters there. Or you're not limited to a very specific profile. You are having multiple options there. You have to look at it in that perspective. Even the interior designers who are studying interior design in colleges, they are not aware about that is the broad spectrum.
Okay.
So that's one part of it. When you talk about furniture, then from designing to manufacturing, to procurement, to manufacturing in a workshop setup, to manufacturing in a machine shop setup, to manufacturing on the site, to assembly operations, to packaging and dispatch related work, to sales, business development, online, digital, after sales. The spectrum is huge. It's only that when people think of furniture, they just think of, okay, carpentry होगा. ऐसा नहीं है. आज वुडन स्ट्रीट इतने सारे सेंटर्स खोल रहा है, हर जगह पर सेल्स वाले की जरूरत पड़ेगी. Every place they'll need a operations guy, they will need installation team, they will need a site survey team. Where are those people going to come from? And who are they? Which industry are they belonging to? They are belonging to our industry. That is an industry.
So you mean to say only when we have these poster boys like Wooden Street or Pepperfry or the Spacewoods and the Godreges?
See, definitely this is going to give a push in all the industries. You definitely need, and when you see as a trend, from a small players, when you start seeing that bigger guys are interested, big companies are ventured in, or big money has come into a particular industry, then you start seeing that, okay, this industry has opportunity. Because when somebody big is investing into it, it means there's an opportunity there. And definitely this, I'll use the word poster boy only, will help in sensitizing or creating more awareness about the industry. Like Furlenco campaigns are going on, Live Space campaigns are going on, ads are coming regularly on TV. You see the World Cup saw participation of Hetic, EPCO. Earlier, last time we saw Ozone participating. All these things are kind of creating an awareness. And the best part that I feel with today's time is that the youth is not biased towards a particular profession. They're open to the idea of seeing an opportunity for an opportunity and working towards it. That's where we can actually, make the difference, and we can tap this opportunity of attracting the talent in our sector.
Well, it's really good to know that this there's a shift in perception. And I think going forward, our annual India skills competition, the outcomes over there will reflect this shift also.
Yes, it should, and even the spectrum of what we are doing as a skill competition would also require to be increased. Because right now the whole idea of India skills competitions, you asked that question, you brought the point. So India skills is basically derived out of the world skills competition. So whatever is our competitions are happening in the world skills, basis that we have picked up our qualifications and our job roles and our competition trades, and there we are representing primarily woodworking, which includes carpentry, joinery, and cabinet making. Now, most would refer to carpentry only when I say woodworking. But at the world level, there's a difference. There is carpentry, cabinet making, and joinery. Right? Now, like that, if we have to sensitize students about other jobs that are available in our industry, we need to go by the medium of skill competition, skill awareness, skill-based test. And that's why we'll need a larger spectrum of these trades also in these competitions. So even if maybe the world skills doesn't consider it, or maybe the India skills would consider it, or maybe the council itself can take the initiative of running these competitions in schools and colleges to sensitize more and more people about it. But yes, looking at the trend, from the first time that we participated in world skills in woodworking to the last cycle, there was a huge increase. Almost about 1,000 plus enrollments were there last year. And this year we are hoping that there would be more, and hopefully more and more candidates participate. Though the cycle is running a little late than the usual, but I'm hopeful that still the momentum would be there. And but we'll still need a lot of work to be done. It's not just about enrollment. It's got the India skills and world skills is a big story, and we need to work in a very, very focused manner if you want to achieve something there. If you want to win medals there, or we want to use that as a tool to create more talent.
But I think the corporates will have to come on board here, or we need that kind of support.
Yes, that is very important. In fact, in all the world skills, hands down till now, it has been the industry who has actually taken a lead in in creating the right training infrastructure or running of these competitions and all of that part to support the India skills team and the world skills team from our side. So yeah, industry will have to play a bigger role.
Well, Rahul, I must say you carry a huge burden on your shoulders for not only defining this entire idea of skill development, but making sure that the fruits it bears fruits, and finally the industry also comes on board, and there's a shift in perception about what woodworking is all about, how it can be made into an aspirational career. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you,
and
Deepak.
look forward to many more milestones in the coming days and the weeks.
Thank you, Deepak ji. I mean, just that I don't look at it as a burden. I just look at it as a challenge that would benefit the whole industry, and that's what excited me to join the skill ecosystem in the first place. And the way we are progressing, I am hopeful that with more and more industry support, and the right support from the ministry side as well, we'll be able to bridge this gap sooner than later. So thank you so much for having me, and I hope through your podcasts, the viewers also get a better understanding, and they're able to participate in these different initiatives that we're talking about. Skill gap study being the first one that we would like everyone to participate in.